Hey everyone, Nat Daddy here with another review. Today we're going to look at, this is book 2 of Justice League International. We reviewed the first one a couple months ago. This is No More of America. Now that the world's greatest heroes have gone international, even more members are joining the ranks. Make it the most unlikely grouping of heroes yet. Batman, Blue Beetle, Booster Gold, Martian Manhunter, Guy Gardner, Mr. Miracle, Captain Atom, Rocket Red, Fire, Ice, and the Huntress? But will this ragtag group be able to get it together in time to handle the intergalactic menaces of Lord Manga Khan, the hordes of Apokolips, and an alien invasion of Earth? Can the team really survive splitting into two separate groups to cover the globe? Who will join their European branch, and why is Blue Beetle attempting to kill Maxwell Lord? So this is again by Keith Giffen, and it contains Justice League International 18 through 27, switches to Justice League Europe 1 through 6, and then Justice League International Annual number 1. These are pretty great. I love the first batch of these, and the super funny. This is when they started doing superheroes with a little bit of comedy, so a little bit of sarcasm, and you definitely feel all that 80s vibe in here as well. So again, this is kind of where the modern Lobo comes from. Is this before, when he was in the Omega Man stuff, he was kind of a little different, but lots of crazy, silly, nonsense stuff going on here. Of course, Maxwell Lord runs the Justice League of America and the Justice League Europe International, whatever they call it at the time. And you got some great classic art in here. Lobo, you got Nort. I believe he's going to be showing up in that new Green Lantern series they have coming up on HBO. But this is where we really get to see the evolution of people like Booster Gold and Blue Beetle and Fire and Ice that were introduced in those not 80s times there. So you got Big Barda and Mr. Miracle living on Earth now, trying to do domestic life, but their lives in the Justice League keep interfering. You got Martian Manhunter as the leader, and he's always having like Charlie Brown moments and that, like feeling bad for himself, but all the grief that he has to deal with. Of course, Guy Gardner being Guy Gardner. Batman's in there. So lots of awesome 80ness in here too. You see Maxwell Lord, developer Discovery, has those kind of psychic abilities. Lots of stuff about Apokolips here. They're after Mr. Miracle and Barda, of course. And a little bit of dark side as well. Yeah, I like this. There's lots of action in these books, lots of silliness. Like I said, if you were a fan of the 80s, pop culture and that, this is chock full of it. You get a lot of villains and heroes in here that when you see them nowadays, they've completely different. You can just see how different comics were back then and that. But you can also see where a lot of today's ideas come from here as well. So yeah, this is really fun. Lots of, like I said, continuing ongoing storyline throughout it as well. Yeah, this is pretty awesome. Like I said, if you've read the first issue or the first compendium, first volume, you'll definitely want to pick this up. And if you've just been thinking about it, if you're a fan of like things like, let's say like Guardians of the Galaxy, team books with a little bit of silliness and comedy, this is definitely in your wheelhouse for it. This is probably the prototype or the blueprint where all those kind of team superhero with a little bit of comedies came from, because before this there wasn't a whole lot of it. Superheroes were just superheroes, and comic silly books were something else kind of completely different. So lots of B heroes in here kind of get exposed a little bit more too. And this happens all right after the Crisis stuff. So again, kind of an important time in the DC universe and that. So like I said, chock full of those 80 kind of characters that they were trying to introduce and slowly make big in that. So we all know them today, but back then these were all just kind of brand new characters or very, very little known. So all right, Metamorpho's in there as well. And like I said, great consistent artwork and writing throughout the whole thing, because it pretty much was one group doing them all. So all right, that is my review of Volume 2 of the Justice League International. And I do believe there's still one more going to be coming out yet. But until then, we will see you guys for more reviews in the new year. Peace out.